From the time I first became involved with battlefield preservation in the late 1980s, my top priority in terms of sites that I hope would be saved is this one that covers part of the Gaines's Mill and Cold Harbor battlefields. Bob Crick and I took tours there in the early 1990s, and as we walked along that ground, I came to appreciate fully what I'd never really known about before, that the Battle of Gaines's Mill, for example, is more than just the Watt House and the Federal defenders there holding off the Confederate attacks coming up from the low ground. And only by walking this ground on this important tract was I able to really appreciate that. And to see, just beyond the edge of the tract, what I consider the most impressive sunken road on any Civil War battlefield. It's amazingly preserved, extremely evocative, and really allows people to get some sense of what was going on during that heavy fighting.
In 1862, in the Battle of Gaines's Mill, this is the site of some of the heaviest fighting that took place around here. Stonewall Jackson's men came straight down the road and struck this place. At this lane, this farm lane was taken and retaken. Artillery and hand-to-hand fighting taking place right here. The U.S. regulars fought with incredible tenacity right here to stop Stonewall Jackson's men from gaining the road and cutting off the Union retreat. Flash forward again to 1864. This is the site of the only Union breakthrough at the Battle of Cold Harbor. Men of the 7th New York, heavy artillery, who had been in forts near D.C. and turned into infantry for this important campaign, attacked right up this slope, broke through the Confederate lines, entertainingly against Confederate George S. Patton's men. That's right, the grandfather of the World War II general. But it just so happened that this was the only place where Lee had significant reserves. And the Florida Brigade and the Maryland Battalion pushed forward and recaptured the salient.
There's not another comparable tract that allows us to interpret important parts of two major battles. It's unique in that regard. You can talk about part of Fitzjohn Porter's defense at Gaines's Mill, but you can also then take visitors and help them understand Frank Barlow's assaults and other elements of the Union attacks at Cold Harbor, which are the most famous of all the attacks of the Overland Campaign, probably. There's no other site that gives you that kind of double payoff.
There is no more intense fighting around Richmond than this very spot. Simply put, this is the most important land that needs to be preserved around Richmond.
And every time I went back, it only made stronger in my mind how desirable it would be to get that tract. That, for more than 20 years, has been the #1 site on my priority of ground to save relating to the Civil War.